I'm a little bit nervous, so bear with me. So what I'm going to do, first of all, is I'm going to talk a little bit about how I've ended up where I am, and then I'll talk a bit about the skills that I have learned through my role and how I've managed to apply that to my current role, and then some of the work that I've done in equality and diversity. So I am a scientist by training. I've been at the John Innes for a very long time. Since 1982, I came as a PhD student. Now, everyone talks about a career path. I say I've had more of a lattice rather than a path, and that's sort of flexed according to my current situation. I've managed to have a family, husband and 3 children, now very big children, and along the way I've learned a lot of different skills. So I've been a PhD student, I've been a postdoc, I've done the classic switch from postdoc to a lab technician, I suppose, or a permanent postdoc who works for a project leader for a significant amount of time and is involved in making sure the projects work, working up new projects, troubleshooting, all those sorts of things. And then in about 2008, kids didn't need me anymore. The work needed to be a bit more challenging, and decided it was time to step out of the comfort zone, and an opportunity came up to take on the role as head of directorate. Now, it was a new role, and it's there to support the director. So I would say that my main role is to help with strategy, keep all the balls in the air, eyes and ears of the institute, a bit of firefighting, loads of different things. And it was very uncomfortable when I first moved up there, because I thought, what am I doing? I don't have any experience in any of this. But actually things have settled down relatively quickly, and I really enjoy the role. It's very challenging, work with lots of different people. I have credibility with the project leaders at the Institute. I know them all very well, know what they'll tolerate, what they won't tolerate, which works quite well when you have a new director coming in, because you can sort of try and guide them. So part of my role is also equality and diversity. So I am a Daphne Jackson trustee. I have led the Athena Swan project at JIC, so we were part of the same pilot as Saher, and we got silver in that one. And then just recently, so last year, we went for gold under the new criteria, and we got gold, which is great. We'd sort of built ourselves up to think, well, okay, if we don't get gold, that's fine, because we haven't done anything extra. This is what we do. If it's not good enough, then so be it. But it was, but that doesn't mean we're perfect. We're far from perfect. We know there's a lot of work still to do. We're Stonewall diversity champions, so we have an LGBT champion. That's still work ongoing. We're looking to build a network with the other research institutes on our park, so there are 3 other research institutes. I don't think I told you what we did. We're a plant and microbial research institute. We're nothing to do with the compost, not now. This is our strapline, Unlocking Nature's Diversity. So that strapline came together after a lot of painful discussion, and it's around our science, but actually it also reflects our staff. The diversity of our staff is what we value. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just tell you a few things that we've been doing in the equality and diversity area. But it's really important. Communication is really, really important. And we have these fantastic voices set up. The faculty, I wouldn't actually call a voice, but there's a group faculty, which are project leaders or our group leaders. And then we have these 3 other voices, our student voice, our research and support staff, and our postdoc voice. And these voices have a budget, they have access to the director, and they are not shy in coming forward. They will tell us when there are problems. They're good to bounce ideas off. They come up with their own ideas as well. So it means that we can put things in place which are actually needed, and not put in place just to tick boxes. So some of the things we've been doing, so lowering the barriers for carers. So we have a parent and carer group. The Institute has needed that for a very long time, but it needs somebody who is passionate about it, who is living that life at the time, and who's willing to take it on. So this again came up from the bottom up, and these people volunteered to take on this role. We finally, after a lot of lobbying, we have a nursery which opened on site this year. And then we have a series of policies. So the stop the clock policy, which is basically takes into consideration if you have a child, or it's been tweaked actually to include project leaders who have somebody within their lab who's key to their group, and so key to them getting their tenure position. So they will be able to extend their stop the clock by a year, so rather than being judged on 6 years, they'll be judged on 7. We have flexible working, new carer policy, and some of the usual stuff. We also have some extra funding that we put in place. So all these things sound like they're going to cost a lot of money, but in practice they don't cost a lot of money. So we have the Family Support Fund, which enables those people who have caring responsibilities, who want to do training. It gives them some extra funds to pay for that childcare that they're having to pay out on top in order to be able to take part in the training. The leadership training that we have, we've tried to bring to JIC so people don't have to go to Heidelberg to do it. We have a parent carer fund, and then as part of our gold application, I realised, or I had quite a few postdocs come to me saying about how they're getting very confused about the fixed term contracts, what was the impact if they had a child on their funding. So now the Institute will guarantee 6 months funding once you return from a parental break. And that gives people the opportunity to get back into the swing of doing science, get those papers written, get their head in the right space for applying for new jobs, rather than coming back for 2 months and then having problems finding a job. We're also, so Sam Fox here, she's passionate about raising aspirations. So Norfolk is where we're from, is a very, well, there's some very social deprived areas. Sam came up with this scheme called Women of the Future, which is a scheme for year 10, I think it is year 10 girls, to come and hear about all the different things that all different careers you can have in STEM. And it's not just about what we do at the JIC, it's broader than that. And the schools that are invited to this are the ones in the coastal and rural schools. They have first shout. It's not for the private schools because those children have quite a lot of opportunities anyway. And then spinning out of that came the Youth STEM Award, which is a bit like the Duke of Edinburgh Award, so the children or the school kids can get bronze, silver, gold awards depending on their activities in STEM, and there's a whole range of things they can do. We have a presence at the Science Festival, and then we run a Year 10 Science Camp. Actually, we had some feedback this year from one of the students who attended the Year 10 Science Camp. It was on the day the A-level results came out, and it was quite moving actually. The student wrote in and said, "Oh, you probably don't remember me. I came on the Year 10 Science Camp. I only came because I didn't know what else to do, but it changed my life. I'm now starting a undergraduate degree at Cambridge on the natural science course," so that was great. I mean, we don't often get people remembering to come back to us, but when they do, it was really, really lovely to see. And then the other thing that we're involved in is the Technician's Commitment. So this is a relatively new scheme. We were one of the founding signatories, and it's about giving the visibility, recognition, career development, sustainability, about talking about these aspects to that whole army of people that people forget about. And when we did our Silver Athena Swan, we made it absolutely clear that the only way we were going to take part in that pilot was if we could include this group of what the university's called professional and support staff. Because without them, our project leaders can't excel like they do. You know, these people are absolutely key to keeping the institute running, making sure all the technology platforms work, making sure in our case, all the horticulture works, even making the media, washing up, all that type of stuff is really, really important. So we decided we would sign up for this Technician's Commitment, and the person who is driving it is Claire Stevenson. So some of the examples that we've done are, for instance, our voice committee. We've just had our feedback actually from our self-assessment that we put in a few months ago, and they really commended us on the fact that we do have this communication system, we do have this active group of people who are really keen on making sure the institute is a good place for them. They have representation on some of the committees, not all of the committees, but the committees where it's relevant. So for instance, the Inclusivity and Diversity Committee, they have access, they have a seat on the Responsible Research Conduct Committee. We make sure there's a web presence. The Institute pays for them to undergo these Science Council professional registration. Nearly done. And we also, if people want to do a PhD, we will support them through that. So I'll finish on this. So I've come a long way. It was quite amusing. Last year I found this. So this is the second newsletter from the John Innes Centre, John Innes Society, 1973. And it says, the trustees will be appointing a man to work for some evenings as a barman and as an additional security guard for the Institute. It's also hoped that eventually a woman will be employed to prepare sandwiches and snacks at lunchtime. So we've come a long way from there. Okay, that's it. Thank you.